1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi everybody, welcome to Quilters Cupboard and our Reindeer Games program. I'm very proud to bring to you Batik Day and Studio 180 Design Day. Big surprise there, right? It's always so exciting when we get to share with you guys some of the new and exciting things that have come into the store, as well as some new things that we're planning to do. I've got some things that are new and different, and some tried and true. So let's talk first about Batik Day. So you guys know that batik fabrics are near and dear to my heart, some of what I especially love to work with. And we've got some great bundles of batiks that we're going to be sharing with you all on our Reindeer Games program. We can never have enough neutrals in our stashes at home, so we're offering some island batik neutrals. We're waiting for the fabrics to come in, so we have the display card here to show you. We're going to have some half-meter bundles of a white version of light neutrals and a cream version of light neutrals. So half bundles of our island batik neutrals. That's quite new into Quilters Cupboard, actually. We've started carrying island batiks and we're really liking them. I love the colors, the vibrancy of batiks anyways, and we're very happy with the island batik fabrics that have come in. I've had a lot of fun playing with them. And like I said, neutrals we can never have enough of. We are going to be having some brand new fabric come in. It's actually called William's Garden from Island Batik. It's designed by Deb Tucker herself. And you'd think she actually consulted me for colors, because look at them, blues and greens and purples. It's going to be amazing to work with. We have just a little sampling of the fabrics here, but what we're going to be offering on our Reindeer Games is a fat quarter bundle of all 20 of the fabrics that you see here, as well as for those of us who like a bit bigger pieces to be working with, we're going to have some half-meter bundles in both the green version and the purple version. We're also excited to pull together some specific Aurifil threads that are going to match with each of the bundles. So we're going to have some Aurifil color collections that we want to be able to tie exactly with those fabrics, if that's your thing. We all know that Aurifil is our favorite thread to work with, so I had some fun choosing some specific colors to go with them. That's very exciting to see. We also had, for Christmas, a red and green bundle of fat quarters. Who can go wrong with a bundle of red and green batiks to whip up some placemats or some little table runners or something into a bigger quilt? When you've got 8 fat quarters, 4 red and 4 green, there's all kinds of possibilities of things that you can make with them. So I had some fun choosing some bright, vibrant reds and greens off the wall for you to be able to play with. Those are fat quarters that we have there. A couple of things that I like to use with all of my Studio 180 equipment, etc. I'm going to talk about them as well, but first I'm going to share with you the ruler that we're offering for our Studio 180 portion of the Reindeer Games, and that is the new Star 60 ruler that Deb Tucker came out with. 60 degrees is something that we'll see in lots of different kinds of patterns. If you're like me, as soon as you're aware of something, you'll start to see it everywhere. I'm seeing all kinds of patterns that have 60-degree components in them. And of course, true to form, with the Studio 180 ruler, we oversize everything a little bit, not by much, but enough to give us some wiggle room to be able to trim our components down and have them fit together perfectly so that our points don't get cut off. And there's lots of points in something like this when we're working with the components that we can make with a 60-degree ruler. You can see on the front here, we've got some hexagon shapes, and that's very classic for us when we think of a 60-degree ruler. But that's not all that we can do with a 60-degree ruler. There's a Studio 180 pattern that Deb Tucker has released as well, and it's called Tulip Trails. and it uses the star 60 ruler and is making 60-degree diamonds and wedges with it to pull into stars. Shocking, I'm all over the stars in virtually every pattern that I see, and this is lovely and fresh and fun, and I really enjoyed getting the chance to make something with it. We just got that pattern in last week. I have had some fun playing with it, and if you come with me, I'm going to show you the sample of what I've been working on. It's still very much under construction, but I want you to be able to see some of the components, and then you'll know a little bit about what I'm talking about. So walk over with me to the design wall and we'll have a look at my tulip trails. So I'm over here and we're looking at my tulip trails pattern up on the top half of the design wall here. And this is where I was talking about the different kinds of shapes that the star 60 ruler helps us to create. There are diamonds in the center here. There are 60-degree triangles framing around those diamonds. You put 3 of them together to create a half hexie and sew together in rows half hexes. Sometimes they're the pieced components, sometimes they're a plain half hexie. And see how they come together to create the full 6-pointed star, or you get the secondary block of a full hexie in there that comes together when you sew your rows together. I still have lots more to do on this, but it was so fun to pull it together, and this uses 2.5-inch strips of fabric. How many of us have got jelly rolls hanging around that we're not sure what to do with? We're just waiting for the right kind of pattern. I like to think that this would be so cool in not only the brights that I featured here, but deeper, darker colors, or, you know, if you're into Kansas Troubles kinds of coloring, or Kim Deal fabrics, or other colors along the Batik line, or a brand new collection if you wanted to go soft blues like you did a Sitar's, you know, kinds of collections, that kind of thing, her Perfect Union collection. So have some fun with this. I'm really enjoying making the pattern. Stay tuned for seeing the whole thing, etc. But that's the pattern that we're offering to go with the star 60 ruler. I'll talk about this in a little bit. I'm going to go back to the demo table. Hang on. So when we're talking about the things that I like to use with the Studio 180 equipment, you've heard me talk before about InvisiGrip. I recommend that on the back of all of your specialty rulers. They're a lovely, smooth, clear plastic, but that means that they slip around some, and we don't want that happening when we're trying to cut precisely. So by putting some InvisiGrip on the back of your ruler, it helps to keep it from slip sliding around. And it literally is just an Invisi that clings onto the back and helps to keep it from slipping on your fabric. And you cut it to all the different sizes that you need for it to go onto the back of your ruler. Now when you're looking at my ruler, you're going to say, what's all of the colored tape that's on there? That is what's called glow line tape. And glow line tape comes in a package of 3 different colors, pink, orange, and yellow. And each of those tubes of color is 1/4 inch wide. You can share with some friends. Apparently I've shared with a lot of friends. I could only find my yellow roll of tape, so that's what I used on the back of my ruler. The cool thing about this is you can put it on the top or on the bottom. If you put the glow line tape on the bottom of your ruler, underneath the lines that you really want to highlight to see over top of your fabric when you're cutting something, it really shows up the lines that you're looking for. So when you want to make sure you're not cutting the wrong size of piece, putting that bit of glow line tape on the bottom side of your ruler helps that to show through very clearly. I've also used glow line tape on a couple of other spots on my rulers. Because it's 1/4 inch wide, it's perfect for putting around the edge of some of your trim down tools. When you want to make sure that you're not cutting off the points in your other kinds of star blocks or whatever you might be trimming, you want to see exactly where your 1/4 inch seam allowance is going to go. Popping that right around the edge of your ruler shows exactly your 1/4 inch seam allowance. I really like using it in that spot. The other thing that I really like to do with my glow line tape is to be able to actually use it to highlight a chart. All of Deb Tucker's rulers come with a lot of information to give you the instruction of what you need to do to use the ruler, but there's multiple sizes of what you can make your components out of. Popping a little piece of glow line tape on top of the size that you're looking for, make sure that you're picking up the right numbers. It gives you the look of using a highlighter without it being a permanent coloring, because then you just pull the glow line tape off and reposition it to another line on your card. So you could just pull it off just like that and pop it onto another line to highlight another size row of numbers that you're looking for. Thinking about the instructions that come with the ruler, for quite a while now, Deb Tucker has issued all of her ruler instructions on a free download on her website in an 8.5 by 11 size component. So you're able to print all of the instructions for her rulers into the size that will fit into some sheet protectors, pop it into a binder. You can see I've got my glow line tape on here, giving me a couple of different spots for numbers I was looking at in some of the things that I was working on. So that can be handy specific to the project that you're working on. You can print it multiple times, and you can also keep a master copy of all of your ruler instructions so that they don't get lost. And sometimes the size that comes with the packaging is necessary for the size of the ruler, but not so easy to pop into a binder or a sleeve or to take off to class. So there's some great information there for that. I also like to recommend cutting edge tape. This is by Marcy Baker of Q Tools, and we shared with you on some of our Essentials Day about her purple tape that we put on the base of our sewing machine. This is a tape that goes on the top of the ruler. It's repositionable. The new versions of it are in white. The older versions are in orange, but the idea is that when you're cutting, you're going to be able to take that tape and very quickly highlight the line that you're using to cut your components out with. You don't want to completely cover that line, but you want your eye to be drawn right straight away to the size that you're cutting, trimming down, whatever it needs to be, so that you've got the right line. Measure twice, cut once. If you can look for the right line straight away, then it just gives you that degree of comfort that you're cutting the right size. And it's very quick and easy to move. A little bit quicker than the glow line tape. I like to use that on the bottom, like I said. I'll set that all up at the beginning of my project. This I can move around multiple times to all different kinds of sizes. Also with the cutting edge tape, a lot of us have rulers that are 3.5 inches wide or 6.5 inches wide, something like that. How many times have we flipped the ruler around the wrong way when we meant to cut it one way, and now our size is wrong? I find it really handy to pop a piece of that cutting edge tape right where that 1/2 inch marking is to remind me that this is a 3.5 inch ruler. So if I'm cutting something 3 inches wide, I'm cutting it with this line over here instead of turning it around and cutting it with this line, and all of a sudden my piece of fabric is only 2.5 inches. Makes a big difference. So that's just a quick eyeball that tells me straight away that's the 1/2 inch size. Pay attention to what I'm cutting. So a couple of little tips that I like to share with everybody. Now, when we're looking at a 60-degree ruler, my brain starts spinning and I'm going, what else can I do with it? I want all of my tools to be more than just a one-trick pony. Deb Tucker puts so much thought and care into the things that she creates, great instructions, etc. What more can we do with them? What else can we do? So I was having some fun with some other things that I could do with that, and straight away we tend to think of hexis and half hexis, etc. So I was having some fun playing with creating some little hot pads that are hexagons, or as you can see here, I've got a couple of little baskets for holding some sewing notions, or jewelry, or if you make it big enough, it could be a bread basket. Make it out of Christmas fabrics, and it can have some Christmas goodies. You could load it up with cookies, and maybe not this year, but take it loaded with cookies to somebody's place, and they get a basket of goodies, as well as they get to keep the basket afterwards. So just something kind of fun to do. So I'll show you a couple of things that to share how to create the hexis using the Star 60 ruler. There are all kinds of charts, as I showed you, in the ruler instructions, and she's going to give you sizes of a rectangle to cut, depending on the finished size of the hexie that you're looking for. So you're going to take the rectangle that you've cut to the specific size, and there's going to be a line that she's going to reference that you place on the fold on the bottom of your hexie, of your rectangle rather, and when you've placed that fold line underneath that spot on the ruler, see how easy it is to see that line there now on my ruler, and you're going to cut up the sides to create a properly balanced hexie. That's part of the key. When you are cutting a properly balanced hexie, you want to be able to see that all the sides are the same size. So you want to know that this distance is the same as this and this and this and this to get it properly balanced. So that's why you don't just take that hexie, that rectangle, and cut it off straight on the bottom or willy-nilly where you want to on the ruler. You're going to actually position it where it's mathematically been calculated to give you the properly sized, properly balanced hexie. So then you can do the same thing with the top and the bottom, and you're going to take those two pieces of fabric and layer them pretty sides together on top of a piece of batting. You're going to sew almost all the way around. You're going to leave an opening to be able to turn it. Then you're going to trim down around the sides of your hexie. So it's all nice and neat, and you're going to say to yourself, well, why is there one little piece that's sticking out? I've found over the years that when you turn something like this around, whether it be a hexie, a straight square placemat, anything like that, sometimes it's really hard where that opening is to get that 1/4 of an inch of your batting and your two pieces of fabric to tuck inside nicely. The batting always wants to pop out, doesn't it? And then you end up with a little bit of a wobble in your seam. If you leave a smidgen of batting sticking out, so I tend to cut that about 1/2 an inch or so beyond the straight edge of my hexie that I have cut, whatever that particular shape is. It gives you a bigger piece of the batting. The fabric is still at its true 1/4 inch, but it gives a bigger piece of the batting to be able to tuck that right inside your hexie, and it lays so much flatter and lickety-split, just like that. I'm not fiddling and fussing with how to get my piece in there nice and neat. Now I can clip it with my Wonder Clip, do a top stitch all the way around, and it secures, it closes that opening. So then the next thing that you're going to want to do, if you are creating some kind of a little hot pad or something, why not echo the shape with your stitching around it again? It's a fun little hot pad for your Christmas table, any kind of season, etc. But it's also really cool if you echo the shape of the hexie. Pick a size that you want to do your stitching in from the edge, but you can also turn around and make a little hexie basket. If you look closely, you can see that my stitching here creates a base of the little hexie basket. Then I'm able to just pick up the sides and clip them together, or stitch them either by hand or by machine. So I just took my points and I clipped them together with my Wonder Clips. In here you can, oh no, my thread matches, you can't really see, but I've done the same thing. I've stitched all the way around there, echoing the shape of the hexie, pulled my points together. Just take the hexie, pull your points together, line up the edges really nicely, and I highly recommend that you start sewing from this side out to the edge. And ask me how I know that's the best way, because if you start sewing from the outside edge out this way, chances are very good that they're not going to stay lined up anymore. It's bulky. Your presser foot is going to want to pull that away. So start sewing from the fold out to the edge. And that's all I did here. Start sewing from the fold to the edge on all 6 of those corners, and you can create any size of little basket that you want. Teeny tiny one for jewelry, like I said, right up to great big ones for a bread basket or something fun. Put your sewing notions in your sewing room in there, keep a couple of threads and bobbins together in there, that kind of thing. It was also kind of fun to take, you know, scary looking fabric. Sometimes you wonder, why did I buy that? It probably was in a fat quarter bundle and wasn't quite sure what to do with it. But when I look at a stripe like that, I like to see what can be created from it if I cut a bunch of triangles with my 60-degree ruler and get a cute little mug rug. This can sit right underneath my coffee cup every day, that kind of thing. It's fun to see sort of the kaleidoscoping kind of effect that you get from that. So if you can do that with a striped fabric that's really not all that appealing, what can you do with one that looks a whole lot more interesting? I'll bet you were wondering why I had fabric up here that really wasn't batik fabric. It was because I wanted to share with you a couple of fabrics that we have in the store. This is such a sweet border print with sewing notions and pins and measuring tape and buttons on it. But when I see a border print like that, I think to myself, I'll bet you I can do something like this kind of craziness with a border print. So I had some fun pulling out some of my border print fabrics and creating different kinds of table runners with the border print fabric. And I'm going to show you a couple of samples. When you take a fabric and with your 60-degree ruler, cut your pieces, the ruler goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And then you can take those pieces and put them together in towards the center. Let's turn them around the right way. But we want to alternate them. We have to be able to put this into a pile that's going to make project B. This one that matches is going to make this guy over here, is going to go together with this one into project A. So you need a fairly long strip to be able to have them come together nicely, but out of a couple of meters of fabric, this lovely but wild and crazy looking border print fabric, I made several different table runners. So I've got one of them here that I kept a long piece in the center, and all I did was the alternating pieces on the ends made it look like that was pieced and mitered and looks way more difficult than it actually was to create. This 60-degree table runner is something we've shared a lot through Quilters Cupboard over the years, using border print fabrics that lots of times people didn't quite know what they were going to do with them. If you take those pieces that I was showing you, if you take them and join them together so that you've got one version of them all coming together in the center, take the other, the up and down cuts. This was the up down, this was the down cut. Have the other ones frame around the other edge of the center that you've created, then you can create a totally different looking table runner. That one looks like this guy. So it looks quite a bit different from the first table runner that I showed you, doesn't it? This table runner we call the 60-degree surprise table runner. We do have a free pattern that we're going to be giving everybody who buys the Star 60 ruler. Will get the free pattern for the 60-degree surprise table runner that helps you with this. And once you get cutting these kinds of triangles to do this, you're going to be looking at fabric in very many different ways as to what you can do with it. Like I said, that really pretty notion-y fabric. This is the table runner I made with it. Isn't that cute? This happens to be the right size for me to actually sew it, of course, quilt it with a backing and have it hang over top of my sewing machine to be a dust cover. Cute and fun to decorate up in your sewing room. How about this beautiful Sweet 16 Edita Sitar border print fabric? Border print, stripe, call it whatever you want. It's just beautiful. Can't help but pet the beautiful fabrics sometimes. But not everybody knows what to do with them. Same thing, when I look at a stripe like that, I think I can create the same kind of table runner using that. So that was great fun to do, and that would be really pretty to dress up a table. Sometimes people don't want screaming Christmas, they just like the color of red at Christmas time, or bring that out at Valentine's, or to brighten up a lovely cream neutral room. That was lots of fun to create. How about if you take a panel piece, this is an old one that I have, but again, there's the hexagon shape in the center. These are half hexis that are framing all the way around it. Again, that's something that Deb Tucker gives you instructions with the ruler, how to properly size and cut the half hexis to be able to frame around something like that. Creates a very different kind of look. This is another version of the 60-degree table runner. This one is an old sample that we have in the store. Same thing with the points around this way. We've got 4 of the triangles all facing the same way, 4 of the triangles facing the other direction on the other end, and it's got a diamond of the leftover fabric in the middle that just connects the 2 of them. Lots of fun to be able to create something like that. The half hexis that I was talking about, earlier today I was watching a video where somebody was making a braid out of half hexis. That's exactly what these guys are. So half hexis that are sewn together, braided back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it's the same kind of thing. You take a rectangle instead of a folded square that makes a full hexi. If you take a 5-inch square and fold it, you can create a full hexi, but for a half hexi you want a rectangle. Find the right size number on your star 60 ruler, find the right spot to line that up to cut, and you're going to get yourself, so if I put this over here, line this up this way, you can see that gave me, when I lined it up with my 3 3/4 inch line for this size of piece, that's going to give me the half hexis that created those sizes to make a really cool border of braid around any kind of quilt. Lots of fun to work with. So that was a lot to share with you, wasn't it? Holy cow. But I am so all about doing more with what we've got. In case you didn't know, Deb Tucker has been creating blockbusters through her website and through her Facebook page for quite a while now, utilizing all her tools. She has a blockbuster that uses the star 60 ruler. I believe it's number 51. We're going to have a link to it in our email. So it uses the star 60 ruler and the corner beam. I haven't had a chance to make the block yet, but I certainly want to. It's one of her more recent blockbusters. She also has been working on different kinds of tips and tricks videos every week on Thursdays, all through, while we've been at home during 2020. And she did one pattern that was the disappearing 9 patch, she called it, or disappearing hourglass. And she was talking about how fabulous it would be in fat quarters of her Williams Garden fabric. So we're going to put a link to that as well. She was talking about how to carefully go through it and cut your components so that you are not having pieces that are on the bias. As we all know, she's got such great tips for how to get the best results with all of your quilts. And at the very end, she says, now think about this quilt in Williams Garden. And I am going, oh my goodness, we're getting that fabric into the store. That would be so amazing to do that pattern in those fabrics. And that's one of the reasons we're creating fat quarter and half meter bundles. So check that out. We're going to have a link for that as well. Now, I had hinted a little bit before about something that you saw over on the design wall. That is a project that we're going to be working on through Quilters Cupboard, and it's called Luminous. It is a block of the month that has been created by 2 of Deb Tucker's certified instructors. We're going to be offering kits in the dusk version. There is also a dawn version of it, and we're going to have probably a couple of different colorways of fabric. We might even offer one in the Williams Garden line of fabric. It uses 3 of the Deb Tucker tools: the Tucker trimmer, the wing clipper, and the squared ruler. Lots of us have them. They're a couple of the basic tools that I recommend, and so does Deb Tucker, as basics in your toolbox. Those are the ones that are utilized to create the blocks here, and you're making multiples of them. Block number 1 is the smallest. You make 6 of those. Block number 2 is a little bit bigger. You make 4 of those. Block number 3 gets a little bit bigger, etc. So this is, like I said, going to be a block of the month that we're going to offer through Quilters Cupboard starting in January and February of 2021. Let's walk over to the design wall and we'll take just another quick peek at it. So like I said, this is a couple of the blocks from the Luminous Block of the Month that we're offering. This is the largest one at, I believe it's 30 inches square. This particular line of fabric is called Just My Type, an Island Batik fabric. Again, like I said, we're very excited about offering Island Batik fabrics in Quilters Cupboard. And it's so cool. The background is this dark blue here. There's going to be lots of dark blue around the setting pieces for all of these blocks. Block 1s are these guys, the little ones. Then we move to block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, and block 6. You're doing a couple of each of them until you get to this guy. We do one of those, that's sort of the center showpiece. So stay tuned for more information about our Luminous Block of the Month program. And I want to say thank you for joining me on Batik and Studio 180 Day today. There was a lot to cover, but I'm always happy to share lots of tips and tricks. That's what we as quilters do. We wish you all the very best. Everybody stay well, stay healthy. Let's get through this all together, and our quilting hobbies are going to go a long way to helping us do that. Be well, everyone.
Jolly old sandpaperless, lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm gonna say. Christmas if it's coming soon, now you're your old man. Whisper what you bring to me, tell me if